Good evening, everyone.
It's Friday, 8 p.m.
I'm Andy,
And I'm Debs.
and welcome to Code. Oh no, sorry, I messed up again. All right. Start
I
again.
think what it was,
Good evening,
trying
everyone.
to say was, it's Friday, 8 p.m.
I'm Andy,
And I'm Debs.
and welcome to Code to the Unknown.
Don't be afraid.
Ooh. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, everyone. Sorry, I can't type tonight. I'm doing it on my phone because I'm not taking any chances. So
And neither can I. So
everything's up verbal, audio, whatever you want to call it. So,
right.
Deb,
So welcome
do
to
you want to?
Tino, Joe, Pat, Warren, Stuart. Let me find anybody else. Who else is in?
Rebecca, Justin Apple, Tino,
Mike,
Colin, Mr.
Mike,
Cowter,
Colin. Oh, I scrolled a
Stu,
bit faster.
Diane, Joe, Ellison,
That's it. We've
Patricia.
caught up. Yes, I said that.
So, hello to everyone.
Yes.
Go. Right. So Lon is going to be on tonight. He's running a bit late. So the first half hour ish, it's just going to be me and Deb. Sorry, guys.
Yeah, sorry about that.
We're not.
Sorry, not sorry.
Oh, yeah, we're not sorry, really. No, he is going to be on. He's had a few things to do, so he's running behind a little bit. So he'll be on roughly about past. So me and Deb are just going to fill in with a load of nonsense as we usually do.
Pretty clear. Any
I'm going to go to
questions?
the pub and Deb's going to sit here for half an hour.
Smiling.
See you later.
Yeah, cheers for that.
No, go on. So, yeah. We haven't got anything though, have we? That's the thing. We don't have a backup plan.
You were going to mention the stickers.
Yeah, again. So we've got the stickers now, which are on the website. They are £3 each. It's a £3 for the hand, a £3 for the letters, or one of each for a £5. You can do it through PayPal. If you do it through PayPal, please write on there it's for the stickers. If not, then I won't know, and I'll just think it's a donation.
Yeah, you'll get nothing.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah. So, yeah. I was going to say, yeah. So, yeah, you need to let me know where it is. Oh, it's less than. We have a guest.
We have a guest.
Right. So I'm going to add him on now.
Yeah.
Hey,
folks. Hello.
Hey, can you hear me?
Joining.
Can hear you, yeah.
Can you hear me?
All good. All good.
Can
you hear us?
Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me.
Thank you for joining.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
Excellent.
No, it's nice to have you here. So you've been super busy then?
Well, it's been Thanksgiving yesterday here in the States, so
Yeah.
Yeah, we're kind of getting over that.
Yeah.
Recovery mode.
Yeah.
All the festivities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the eating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the drinking.
That's the main thing.
All right.
So let's start off. Tell us what you're doing at the moment.
Well, we've been pretty busy. Actually, we've been pretty busy for the past 5 years with this this winged humanoid phenomenon that's been going on in and around Chicago, and especially in and around O'Hare the past 2.5 years.
Yeah.
And it's kind of progressed in the past several months, and actually to the point where we're beginning to have contact with these beings. And we have a few individuals within the group who have had direct contact with them.
Really?
And it's just baby steps at this point. We're trying to establish a more direct contact.
Yeah.
Though it has been progressing.
Yeah.
Mm.
So what? Sorry, I was just going to say. So when you're saying you have direct contact, is that like Is that like communicating or?
Well, psychically and actually visually in some cases.
Yeah.
And it's not all been necessarily around Chicago. I'm in Pennsylvania. I'm on the East Coast.
Right. Okay.
And some of our members, well, they're spread out all over the country, actually.
Yeah.
And at this point right now, we have, I believe, 7 individuals who have made contact with these beings.
Yeah.
And some have actually seen them. They have made themselves visible to them. And I have been trying to keep folks updated on what's been going on. We've had 2 shows in the past 3 weeks on Arcane Radio, on my radio show. And we've been talking about it with the people involved. And it's getting some interest. This is something that we plan to eventually make part of a production of some type, which will explain the whole phenomenon from the very beginning.
Yeah.
I wish we knew more, but I'm quite sure we're going to have more information by that time anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's like you said, though, it's baby steps first, isn't it? And then
absolutely
progression.
They're very skittish. I mean, these beings have been actually a part of us for a long time.
Right.
Yeah.
They explained to us, or explained to my team, that they have had contact with man many eons ago, and the reason why they're kind of keeping in the shadows or within a dimension just beyond our Earth plane is for their protection. And that's where we stand at the moment.
That's amazing.
I know. Very interesting.
The sort of thing that you can't rush into, though, isn't it? You like Andy said it is, and you've said it is baby steps. You can't just rush in and overwhelm them.
They are a matriarchic society, and in fact, they have females of their species that basically run the show. Though it's a hierarchy we really don't understand at this point.
Yeah.
Those in the hierarchy are known to call themselves the unseen ones.
Okay.
But they use the younger beings of their species to come into our dimension through a portal.
Right.
And that's the beings we've been making contact with, or people have been seeing. And this goes back to the so-called Mothman and beyond that.
Yeah.
They're all part of the same, not necessarily the same species, but they are in that same dimension.
Yeah, same realm sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So Have you had any contact with these newer ones?
Minimal.
Right.
I have had some early on.
Yeah.
But most of the contact has come through the females in our team.
Yeah.
They're kind of afraid of males, and I can understand that because of military involvement they've had over time. Right. They are chased by other extraterrestrials, other beings from other realms, other dimensions. They have been chased by their craft over this time. We had an encounter with one of these beings at O'Hara a couple months ago where a UFO actually became part of the sighting. And what it was one of the, as it was explained to us, one of these beings were chasing them or keeping an eye on them.
Yeah.
They have been taken by these extraterrestrials or these other species in the past. But the experiences that have been described to us are nothing like what humans have done to these things, military in particular.
Yeah.
I know people are hear this story, hear me explain this story, and it seems like such a fantastical series of episodes, but it's very real. I mean, I can assure folks it's a real phenomenon. And hopefully it's going to progress to a point where we can actually have proof of their actual existence. So just stay tuned. That's all I can say at this point.
Yeah. Fascinating.
It is very.
All right. Colin's asking, how many types of winged beings are there?
There are a lot. The ones we have dealt with personally have been we have been in contact with one of the unseen ones, one of the hierarchy.
Yeah.
Whose name is Ukiah, which is a male. We have had contact at this point with 10 others, younger wing beings, what we describe them as. That we're not calling them Mothman or anything like that. I mean, they don't like that term anyway. They don't like the word. They don't even like the term ET or extraterrestrial.
Okay.
They call themselves basically something you would describe as the ultra terrestrial.
Yeah.
Where they have the ability to move in and out with our dimensions. And when I say dimension, I mean one of the Earth dimensions that is correlated or linear to our Earth plane.
Right. Okay.
So they've been around us for a long time.
Yeah. They've not been showing themselves till late.
Right. I mean, there have been other beings within their realm.
Yeah.
Reptilians and such, but they are not necessarily part of the group that's running the show.
Right.
And they seem to be more of a rogue type of entities as opposed to what they are. And I see the question, what do they look like? They look like a lot of different things. We have been trying to get artists' interpretations of them, and we have been posting those. We have photographs of them at another location where they acknowledge it was them.
Yeah.
They're kind of blurry, but they don't photograph particularly well.
No.
But as time goes on, we're going to be presenting them more and more.
Yeah.
They kind of disassociate themselves from earlier sightings that have caused some issues within their world. They like the Mothman.
Yeah.
That was basically a mistake. And from what they tell us, the Mothman, the being from Point Pleasant, is still alive and still within our realm.
Yeah.
We're looking into several sightings that have been going on around Mason in Ottawa County near Point Pleasant for a while now. We do have photographs, and but we have been asked not to release them. We're keeping it within the group.
Yeah.
Apparently this being, and I can't say a whole lot, but it's deteriorating. It's kind of been shunned by the unseen ones and the winged ones.
Right. Yeah.
The fact that it made itself known how it came about onto our airplane is something that they're not thrilled with and haven't been thrilled with. And
well, there was a lot.
We'll just leave it at that for now.
Yeah. Well, obviously with the Mothman from Point Pleasant, there's a lot of reports and information that everything that went on all that time. So
the whole Harbinger thing was basically a misnomer. This thing showed up for whatever reason. It was a rogue being. It was most likely, from the evidence that we have gathered over the years, a summoned being. It was summoned as a sentinel or a protector of a very strong indigenous spirit that resides mostly in the area of the West Virginia Ordnance Works. But since it made itself known, since all the hubbub around it, since the late 60s, it's been keeping itself pretty well hidden, though there have been contact over the years. And in fact, I will say that there has been recent contact with it as well.
Right.
We have been told to ignore it, or asked to ignore it, and we are going to ignore it in order to keep these beings within our our grasp.
To keep the contact, to keep it all plain sailing, and no allocations or anything, I suppose.
Right.
So, just one question Colin's just put on about the UK Mothman and Owlman.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on that?
I think it happened. I know the whole story, the Mal-1 Owlman down in Cornwall. The story itself, the investigation, and I know the people who were involved in the investigation, and I believe it actually happened. These Owlmen are winged beings that are described as looking like owls.
Yeah.
That has happened several times in the UK. I mean, that's something that has shown up all over the UK.
Yeah.
There are a lot of sightings that really haven't been put out there in the media or put out there in the mainstream crypto world. But the Mal-1 sighting, I believe, was absolutely true.
Yeah.
In ways, the description is very similar to some of the early sightings we had in Chicago.
So, Richard's asking, can they speak or understand English or any other earthly languages?
Yes, they can. Yeah, and they respond. They can respond in English.
Right.
This is what our team members have been telling us.
Yeah.
It's. I can't say it's more of a psychic adventure at this point.
Yeah.
But they do understand the communication that they're having with him. First communication was not voice for the most part. Most of it was by physical attributes, feeling certain pressures in the ears, tappings on the body, and so forth. It's been a lot of different things. Everybody seems to have a different type of attribute or a way of communicating with these beings, but there's a lot we've got to learn yet.
So in your own opinion, what do you think that they're here for? What do they want from us?
Well, I guess that's the big question. I believe they do want to become part of our life again. I think we are receiving a type of, and I really don't like to say warning, harbinger. I don't like that term harbinger.
No.
But I think they have things to tell us. and I think there's some things in our future that may be coming up that they will be telling us. You know, when this whole thing started in and around Chicago, now it actually started in 2011, but there have been sightings previous to that. But when it started getting heavy in 2017, you know, the first thing that people were thinking, this is the Mothman. There's a harbinger. There's a reason why they're communicating with us. And that just hasn't happened. You know, I used to get phone calls in the middle of the night from just regular citizens in Chicago wondering what the hell's going on. You know, are we going to have a disaster? This and that. I mean, people were really worried. They knew the whole Mothman story and the harbinger theory, and they thought something major was going to happen in Chicago. And I never really thought that. You know, I didn't think that was going to happen. I tried to calm fears and nerves as much as I possibly could. But you know how things go. The media kind of puts it out there, and they talk about the actual Mothman incident and the supposed collapse of the bridge caused by the moth or warned by the Mothman. So
but I suppose that's always the case, isn't it? When something like that appears, it's always doom and gloom. It's never that they're trying to gain a bit of trust to impart wisdom or anything. It's just
that's just a fact with cryptozoology and looking into cryptids. You know, everybody expects the worst. So we kind of get used to that.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on things like dogmen and Bigfoot and?
Yeah, we kind of look into everything. You know, I live in Pennsylvania. I've got a dedicated team here in Pennsylvania where we look at exclusive phenomena and anomalies here in this state. But of course, we do worldwide. I mean, you know, mostly in North America, but we do have cases we work on in UK and Europe, Asia and such, and they're few and far between. And this is something that we have been trying to expand, especially with the winged humanoid phenomena. We're trying to get the word out and trying to get certain reports and see if there is an association with these beings. So and I believe there are, and I believe there are people other than our team who have been having communication with these beings. We have been looking at some sightings in East London in recent weeks that have been videotaped and recorded, and trying to determine what's going on there. So this is a worldwide phenomenon. This just isn't something that's going on here in North America.
Yeah. No, that was my next question. Is anyone else having contact with these beings? Or you beat me to it.
Yeah, I believe they are. You know, of course, it's just a matter of getting people to come forward. And you know, I guess from what we have been told that there are, but we really need to get more information directly from the actual witnesses themselves. So that's just part of our investigation at this point.
Yeah. So do you think they're being told the same as what you guys or what your team are being told?
I don't know. I mean, until I start talking to some of these people, I won't know.
Oh yeah.
You know, you're always cognizant of copycats and people who know what's going on here with us, and then trying to recreate it. That's just part of the human nature. So, you know, that's something we got to be aware of. But, you know, I've got a pretty good group of people working with me, and, you know, many of them are experienced in this. So, you know, we take whatever little bit we can get and try to expand on it. And, you know, I hope we're asking the right questions.
Joe wanted to know, are they here to help save our planet as we're killing it? That's a good question.
Possibly. You know, we don't have a lot of the full details. You know, I guess that's an overall type of question that we get a lot from people. Are they here to help us try to save the planet from ourselves? Maybe, you know, at this point, I don't know. this is all really preliminary at this point. But hopefully we will learn more. And I promise I will keep updates on this.
Oh yeah.
I have pages. I have separate pages on the phantomsandmonsters.com and cryptidhunters.org sites where we keep updated on the actual beings themselves and their world, and some of the hierarchy and how they explain it to us.
Yeah. Warren wanted to know whereabouts in East London, roughly.
Along the Thames.
Right.
That's all I can say. It's along the water.
Yeah.
Not too far from me then.
No, not that far. Colin wants to know what's the best way to attract these winged beings.
Nah, there's no real way of attracting them. In our case, it was them contacting us.
Yeah.
It was kind of an indirect thing at first. It actually started with me looking into another witness in another case, and it progressed from there. We've been working with an individual by the name of David Eckhart for several years now.
Yeah, I know
and
David,
I've been working with David for about 11 years. And I was actually on a radio show, I don't know, about 5 or 6 months ago. And this individual who's now part of the team contacted me after they had seen me. Then they read my book and became very familiar with what was going on in David's case. So they contacted me to contact David, and it kind of worked out to the point where it was less about David and more about what's been going on with us.
Yeah.
And they started receiving contact with these winged beings. Actually, this person, she has been in contact with the one of the unseen ones for quite a while anyway.
Yeah.
And as we started working together, we had other people coming forward who were having very similar contacts. I think what happened was, as we started working with particular people, these beings became comfortable with these people and then started contacting them.
Yeah, building up trust.
Yes. Yep. And I tell you, that's 99% of it, trust.
Yeah.
Being comfortable. They are very skittish. They're very cognizant of, what humans do. So they know us. They know us probably better than we know ourselves.
Yeah, they probably do. Yeah, that's true.
I've got a question. It might seem a bit nonsense, but do they have any crafts that they use? I know they're winged, but do they have any machinery or anything to get about?
They use technology.
Yeah.
The suits and such that they wear, and this is a fairly new revelation to us.
Yeah.
There is technology involved.
Right.
They kind of look more like us than what we actually believe.
Right.
They're very humanoid. They've got different characteristics among them.
Yeah.
But they use the technology that allows them to be able to propel themselves, let's put it that way, coming through portals, and when they're here, able to move as they do.
Yeah.
Most of the sightings that we have had, the wings on that they use are more for guiding as opposed to as propulsion.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
They have some type of technology that allows them to jettison quickly and to move about. The early sightings in particular that we've had with these beings, and it still occurs, are very fleeting sightings. They show themselves and then they leave, and it's very quick. But they do make themselves shown. I mean, they are seen. And some of the descriptions we've had from witnesses are pretty accurate, pretty, specific. So, at this point, we've had close to 140 sightings that we believe have been, accurate or true sightings. We get a lot of other ones that, just seem to be off for some reason, and we don't normally expound on those, though we do keep a record of it. But those cases that we do present to the public are those cases where we believe that there's some fact behind it.
Yeah. So the unseen ones, do they stay hidden, or do they use like a cloaking device?
Yeah, well, that we don't know.
Okay.
They're called themselves the unseen ones because they're unseen. I mean, they're very hard to describe.
Right.
The one we have had contact with, or one of our members has had contact with, they really haven't shown themselves, I believe, to what they really look like. It has been described to us that the winged beings, the ones that show themselves, the juveniles, look entirely different than what they do when they get onto our earth plane. They're more colorful in real life. I mean, in their own dimensions.
Yeah.
But when they come here, they're very drab in color. Many of them have been described as emaciated, humanoid, but emaciated, very dark in color, and with having bat-like wings for the most part. We have been assured that they look entirely different in their own dimension.
Right. Yeah. Which it makes sense. Because if obviously our dimension's only 3-dimensional, that if theirs is however many, they're gonna have a lot more colours and shapes, everything.
Yeah.
So
I mean, sense. Like I said before, it's very preliminary. I'm hoping at some point we will get a look at some of these things, and that where we can get an actual description that we feel is reliable.
Yeah.
We have had descriptions given to us about these beings. We have tried to have artist depictions of them, which I have presented, but at this point now, I don't really feel we can rely on those 100%. So, it's a work in progress.
Yeah. You've got to build a big picture.
Yeah. If you're going to put it out there, you're going to want more information than just the little bits that you've got at the moment.
Yeah, and we have been getting a lot of information, but just like anything else, when you look into something like this, you kind of take the wheat with the chaff, and you kind of have to figure out what you're really being told, or disseminate what you're being told into actual fact. I don't discount what we're being told by our people. In fact, I truly believe that they're telling us what they've been told and what they believe, but it's like I said again, it's a work in progress. So we just we're going to go from there.
Keep going with it. That's all you can do, innit?
So I know you live, changing the subject, I know you live near Gettysburg, don't you?
Yeah.
Have you ever had any experience there at the battlefield? Have you ever
seen
anything?
I've had plenty of experiences there.
I thought you might have.
Look, I was born and raised in the area I live now.
Yeah.
I live about 12 miles east of Gettysburg. But as a kid, I was there all the time.
Yeah.
I used to get on my bike and pedal out there when I was younger. And I spent a lot of time on the battlefield, and I started having experiences out there very early. And it's, I think most people who go to Gettysburg can tell you it's very palpable. You can feel the energy there. I recently went out there with friends a couple weeks ago, and it's pretty amazing to watch them, how they react. Especially folks who are gifted. They can feel it.
Yeah. I've heard it's a really active area.
Oh yeah. Yeah, it's just the whole energy. Gettysburg is a very unique place geologically because the bedrock actually is out of the ground for the most part. It's got a very, very granite
Right.
quartz mix of bedrock, and it's definitely, especially in the valley area, just definitely a place that has had glacial
Right. Yeah.
deformation, and the area where I'm particularly drawn to is the Valley of Death area, which is in and around the Devil's Den, Little Round Top, Wheatfield area, where a lot of fighting took place on the second day of the battle.
Yeah.
And most people go there can really feel it. And I've heard all kinds of people talk about it for years, and you know, people having seen things that just, you know, people think they're seeing a reenactment when it's an actual being that has actually, you know, some type of, for the most part, I believe they're residual energy, but they, under the conditions, they just seem to manifest.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's interesting to hear some of the things people tell you.
Yeah, can you imagine?
I remember seeing a video on YouTube of a couple that had been out, and they took a video, and you could see the soldiers marching along and then up through the tree. And that just, I watched that over and over again. That fascinated me.
Yeah, that's a residual sighting. That's in an area, I think that was taken around the Wheatfield in the woods behind Devil's Den.
Yeah.
Where you can actually see occasionally, if the conditions are right. It's usually in the summer around the time of the actual battle, and when it was really hot in early July. And a lot of times people will capture these things on recording devices, and it does happen. It happens a lot, actually.
Yeah. It sounds amazing. I'd love.
Somebody asked if I'm gifted. Yeah, I am gifted.
Yeah.
I'm intuitive.
Yeah. But when did you realize you was gifted?
At Gettysburg, when I was about 9 years
old.
old.
Right.
Yeah. It was there in the Valley of Death area. I was on my bike, and one summer day, just like all of a sudden, there's like a huge TV screen opened up in front of me.
Really?
And I was just, my senses are all heightened, all alert, and I could see soldiers fighting, blood, you know,
like
death.
you was there.
I was smelling gunpowder, hearing cannon fire, gunfire. Yeah.
Yeah.
For about 30 seconds it lasted, I estimate. And
did it not freak you out at the time?
Oh yeah, it freaked me out. I mean, I was stunned.
Yeah.
But I'd always known something was going on with me. But yeah, that day it kind of confirmed it for me.
Yeah.
Mad. Really is.
Oh, I did have another question. I've lost my little notebook. A minute. There we are.
Don't want to be doing that, Deb.
I've got loads of stuff going on at the side of me here. Right.
Not good.
Well, what is your own most frightening experience or account?
Oh, I don't know. I've had two
one...
major encounters in my life.
Yeah.
I had a Bigfoot encounter back in 1981 in Maryland.
Yeah.
And I had a winged humanoid encounter in 88, not far from me here in South Central Pennsylvania. I think the winged humanoid was probably the most frightening. You know, the Bigfoot sighting was, I'll be quite honest with you, it was fairly close, but I didn't really know what I was looking at.
Right.
I had not been into cryptids at that point. I was doing paranormal investigations, but you know, I was in my early 20s, and it's not like I really knew what I was looking at. And but you know, that in 88, when we had I was with two other people, and we had that winged humanoid sighting. That was kind of freaky.
Yeah.
So where was that?
What's that?
I was just going to say, what was the experience that you had? How did it come about?
Yeah, it was the fall of 1988. I was actually living down in Maryland at the time. After I I left here after I graduated. I moved down near Baltimore, and I lived down there for about 40 years. I just moved back to Pennsylvania back in 2016.
Yeah.
And I had come in contact with a friend of mine, somebody I went to school with, I was actually in Boy Scouts together. And we were sitting there talking, and he brought up, he knew I was involved with paranormal. In fact, when he was a kid, he and I used to spend time out on the battlefield together at night.
Yeah.
But he told me about some strange occurrences that had been going on at Camp Conewago, which is just north of me now, which is in Adams County, Pennsylvania. Well, it's York, Adams County, Pennsylvania. It's just north of Gettysburg. And he was telling me that a lot of the troops who had been camping there, a lot of scout troops are good there during the weekends and camp.
Yeah.
And a lot of them were leaving early, and because they were describing a very, very frightening screeching or screaming sound emanating from the woods.
Yeah.
And of course, being kids, they freaked out and they left campsites early. So they wanted to look into it. And, I don't know if it was dumb luck as to why we interacted at that point. I believe it has a lot to do with what's going on now. I think I've been kind of tagged with this whole phenomena since from the very beginning. But what happened was he asked me, he said, look, a friend of mine, another scout leader, are going out there next weekend. Would you like to come along? I said, sure. So, of course, I drove up here, and I met them on a Friday afternoon. And we trekked into the woods at the camp, and we set up camp. And, the first night was pretty uneventful. We were just sitting around talking most of the night. Nothing was going on. Actually, being intuitive, I just felt a little weird. You get that kind of sense of, man, maybe something's going on here. But it was a quiet night, though. We each had a tent. And in the next morning, when we woke up talking at breakfast, we all had heard something moving around in the campsite. We all thought it was maybe one of the other going or relieving themselves or something in the middle of the night, but we didn't really think much of it. And we called maybe it was a deer or something coming into the camp. We have a lot of wildlife around here.
Yeah.
So that Saturday, after we got ourselves straightened out in the morning, we went out and started trekking through the woods, and we were out all day. We didn't get back till about 6:30. It was just, it was getting dark. So, we made dinner, sat around, just talking. Actually, we were talking football and just, talking sports and stuff. And we were there for, talking for all that period of time. It wasn't a whole lot going on. But then I guess around 11 o'clock, we heard a loud screeching sound in the woods. And, the first thing we thought was, well, that sounds like an animal or something, an owl or whatever. We didn't know what it was. So we didn't really pay it a whole lot of mind. And it sounded more animal-like more than anything else. So we didn't think much of it. But an hour later or so, we heard it again. Now, this time, it sounded like a woman was screaming.
Right.
A child was screaming. It was like that. And it was kind of moving in and out. Yeah, it was very high pitch. And that kind of caught our attention. But we didn't do anything. We sat there just waiting for it to happen again and maybe get an idea of what was going on. So we sat there for a while. I needed to get up and stretch my legs. So I guess about 1 in the morning or so, I got up and started walking around the campsite. And there was a trail right outside our campsite along the creek.
Yeah.
Along the Conewago Creek. I kind of walked out there, and I had this feeling something was going on. I just had this strange feeling. And then I walked back to them, and I told them, I said, let's grab our flashlights and go out on the trail. And we did, So we got on the trail and started walking, and we didn't walk far. And all three of us saw these big red eyes standing or in the creek. I mean, something was standing in the middle of the creek.
Yeah.
This time of year, the creek is very low.
Yeah.
The very, very well lit night. I don't think it was full moon, but the moon lit everything up. It was very clear that night. And we saw this very dark figure standing in the middle of the creek with these huge red eyes. And by the time we got our flashlights on this thing jettisoned itself up into the air. It was an audible whooshing sound.
Wow.
Yeah.
And when it got to its apex, it let out a deafening scream and then flew away. So we literally ran back to the camp, to our camp. And my buddy, he was freaked. He wasn't even talking. And the other guy asked me, he said, "Did you notice something on its back?" And I did. I mean, I noticed some type of structures on its back. Now, we never saw any wings unfurl or anything but it did look like folded wings on its back.
Yeah.
So we got to talking about it a bit. My buddy wasn't talking at all. And he came out and said, "Look, I'm not spending the night here tonight. I'm going up in the administration building and sleep there."
Yeah.
So those two did. They walked away from me and they let me stay there. I wasn't going anywhere. I wanted to see what was going on. But the rest of the night was pretty uneventful.
Yeah.
So as time went on, now that was 88. I started the blog back in 2005. Now a few other people did know about the encounter, people I knew. But I started the blog in 2005. In 2008, which is 20 years afterwards, I actually wrote about it on the blog. Yeah. And when I put it out there, then I started getting experiences coming in. People had seen this thing.
Yeah.
There was a guy who lived near the campsite who had told me, "I've been here for 20 years and I hear this screaming sound, same screaming sound. And I had no idea what it is. I've never seen anything, but I've been hearing this."
Yeah.
I got another email from another scout leader who told me that maybe a month previous, his troop had been to Camp Conewago camping. And during the day, the boys went out onto the trail and were just playing around, nosing around. Yeah. And they came running back and told the scoutmaster they saw a dragon.
Huh.
And of course, he thought they were crazy or just playing, trying to pull his leg. And he didn't think much of it. He said they were pretty excited about it.
Yeah.
But he didn't give it much mind. So until he saw my article, then he contacted me and he believed, well, there's something is out there. And since that time, and I think the last sighting I've had was maybe 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
There have been 5 or 6 known sightings of this being along the creek in other areas. The creek extends somewhat west and then east and empties into the Susquehanna River. So the creek itself is probably anywhere from about 15 miles, but people have seen it in various locations along the creek over the years. And in fact, in this area, they call it Old Red Eye now. So,
do you? Yeah, so I was just going to say, so do you think it resides there, or it just goes there?
No, I think it See, that I don't know. It could very well be a dimensional being, but it's interesting that it's in one general location.
Yeah, that's what I was
just
thinking.
Like with Chicago, maybe there is a portal where this thing was coming in and out of.
Yeah.
The fact that most of the sightings were around the campground, I kind of tend to believe that if there was a portal, it was coming in through there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there have been a lot of strange things that have happened in that area for years. One of my investigators contacted me recently. He was at one of the game lands, because Pennsylvania has a lot of game lands that are run by the state. And they were in there investigating several weeks ago. And they had a lot of strange things happening. And I believe that maybe the area is still active. I don't know. Maybe I'll just have to go out there one day. You can't get into the campsite unless you get permission now. And that kind of makes it more difficult. But we're working on it.
Yeah.
Yeah. One more question. Do you know of any military activity around there?
No.
Since the sightings have been reported?
This area, this part of Pennsylvania, north central Maryland and south central Pennsylvania does have a lot of underground activity. Raven Rock, which is what people call the underground Pentagon, is just I don't know, about 15 miles west of me.
Right.
Of course, Camp David is nearby. We're within 20 miles of Camp David. There's supposed underground routes between Raven Rock down through there, down into Beverly, West Virginia, across into DC and the Pentagon. There's a lot of rumors or a lot of talk about underground bases and such.
Yeah.
It could very well be, but there's a lot of secret stuff that happens around here. So I don't know. I don't know if it's involved or not.
Yeah. I just thought I'd ask if anyone had reported anything, that was all. If there's any connection, but if no one said anything, you're not going to know.
Well, I've been doing this now for a long time, and I've had my run-ins with the federal types for a number of occasions. I get involved with a case, and they will come directly to me and say, maybe you shouldn't look into this much further. And that's happened several times. And I just kind of take the cue, and I'm not stupid. For the most part, I'm going to back off on it. So, but that has happened. You look into this type of phenomena, and a lot of people in the public think it's a lot of crap, but I tell you, they're taking it serious. They really do.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. I know a lot of people like say that the military sort of turn up and dissuade them from looking any further, and that just says to me that they're involved somewhere.
It happens. I mean, I've known several investigators who have had the same thing happen to them, directly or indirectly. But it happens. My investigator friend Butch Wachowski and I have looked into a lot of different things in this state that I believe involve military at some point, and we get a lot of pushback. You're not going to get all your questions answered, unfortunately.
No.
When that happens, you kind of have to make up your own mind. And when you kind of put that out there in the ether, sometimes it gets back to the people that are of interest, and they'll contact you. That's just the name of the game. I mean, especially now since 9/11, it's really they're really cognizant of what's going on within the paranormal community. They really are. People might not believe that, but they are.
I think the whole world's waking up to all these things that are going on, UFOs and cryptids, and there's a lot more people now that start to talk about it and sound like they believe.
Yeah. You hear about this, the Pentagon UFO and all of that. Actually, I think we're being spoon-fed for the most part.
Yeah.
I think the powers that be are asking questions, and they're kind of getting information to kind of satisfy them, but it's nothing really earth-shattering.
No.
I think the public's being told what we're allowed to hear, and unless a spacecraft or an alien shows up on the Washington Mall or at the White House, I don't think we're going to hear much of anything.
No, I don't. We're just being drip-fed little bits.
Oh yeah. That and that's really what's been going on all along, though it made the media in recent years. And people think, we're going to get disclosure. Well, honestly, folks, any disclosure you're going to get is going to be from the eyewitnesses themselves.
Yeah.
And that's why we document what we do.
Yeah.
Joe wanted to know if animals react to these beings, or do you not know?
I don't know that. I mean, that's tough. I mean, I one thing that has been asked about all these sightings in Chicago, they've been seen eating pets and stuff or killing animals, and we just have not seen that.
No.
I believe that when they're on this earth plane, they do not feed, and I don't even know what they eat. But they do not. It doesn't seem that they feed while they're here.
No. We have a lot of sheep mutilations and things, especially up in Lancashire at a place called Winter Hill. There's a lot of activity up there. There's been a dogman sighted.
UK in particular has a large share of animal and human mutilation cases over the years. It's kind of a hotbed as opposed to what goes on here. I think a lot of it gets suppressed here. It's more. It seems like information is more open over there. I don't know if it's because of tabloids or whatever, but I think a lot of stuff gets out quicker over there.
Yeah.
And you will hear about these encounters. I think here in the United States, when something does crop up, the powers to be are there quicker.
Yeah.
Kind of suppress a lot of that. It just seems to be what happens here.
Yeah. It could, we say with the US being a lot bigger than the UK as well.
Well, you mean everybody knows the United States government for the most part. They're they're kind of everywhere here.
Yeah.
You can't really throw a stone too far without hitting a facility, especially here in the East Coast.
Right.
So, I for 40 years I lived down in the Washington, Baltimore area, and it's amazing some of the stuff that is not seen there, but is there.
Yeah.
And you come in contact with a lot of these people too. So yeah.
There's a couple of places like that near me that they're not on any maps, but you drive past, you can see the facility, see people coming in and out all day, but there's no name for this building. Obviously, there is a name, but I'm not going to put it out there. But you know what? You might
want to know it.
Yeah. I even know people that work there, but it doesn't exist. So
I've been fortunate enough to know several people who were retired from MI6 in particular, and I have had contact over the years with them, so I know a little bit of what goes on with the infrastructure there as far as personnel and what they do. I mean, frankly, United States and the UK are tied at the hip. Yeah. And there's not much that there's really much secret. I mean, sure, they spy on each other, but they really kind of really work hand in hand. So, the things I have been told over the years are very similar to what people have been telling me about what goes on here as well.
Yeah.
It won't surprise me.
Warren's asking, Lon, other than Butch and yourself, who do you consider top investigators within the field?
Yeah, well, I don't like to say much about anybody else. I know people say a lot about me, and it pisses me off sometimes, but that's why I don't really say much about anybody else. Our team kind of keeps to win itself. And I'm always open to cooperation with other investigators, which I have done in the past. But I really don't comment a lot on other folks.
I think you're all out there doing the same sort of thing, aren't you? It's a collective.
Yeah, I mean, if it's something major, it'll come out, and then if they want to put it forward, they will. I've always been one to put information out there and let people decide what they want about it. But a lot of investigators, particularly here in the United States, are kind of they're kind of secretive. They'd rather wait to write a book and put it out there as opposed to going out and telling other folks. And I'm just not like that. I mean, I do write books, but if I get something, it's going up on the blog, and
it does,
I'm going to put it out there.
Yeah. I mean, I've followed Phantoms and Monsters since you started. And I know that you're updating it all the time and putting new stuff on as soon as it happens, which I think is great.
Yeah, well, it gets me in a bind sometimes, but that's just the way I am,
Yeah.
But it's not.
Joe wants. Sorry.
I was just going to say, it's not far from what we do, really. So when we go out investigating, we do it as a live stream. So there's no editing, nothing. If we get something, we get something. If we don't, we don't. But you can see. Some people see what we can't see, and
that's my philosophy. I really don't care what people think anymore at this point. I mean, it kind of runs off my back, and if they want to complain or make accusations or so, well, that's their prerogative. They can say what they want to say. I'm just going to collect the information, disseminate it, and put it out there. And I feel that with having the blog and such, and then having the team, I mean, I'm responsible for doing that. And if I take the flack for it, fine, but I don't let it bother me that much.
No, I don't think you can. You've got to be really thick-skinned, haven't you? Because you're always going to get somebody that's going to be picking holes in everything that you do. So
sure, it used to bother me years ago, but at this point now, it really doesn't anymore.
No.
I guess especially since all the Chicago stuff has been going on.
Yeah,
I kind of, well, you can think what you want to think, but that's fine with me.
Our thoughts exactly.
Sure.
Yeah, definitely.
yeah, Joe.
We've had. Sorry, I just got just quickly. Sorry, Deborah. Yeah, we've had a couple of people saying that, even though we've not been doing it that long, we've had people like picking holes at what we're doing, and it's like most of the streams start from my front door and end as I'm coming back home. So he's even traveling to and from location. He streamed as well.
Right.
So there's zero editing, and it
goes straight onto YouTube.
Yeah, it's on YouTube within 2 hours. I can't do anything.
And I strongly believe in disclosure anyway, and that's why we're in the process of doing some things to make more of this public. It's kind of in the infancy at this point, but we're working on some things, and hopefully we can get it out in the mainstream.
Joe was saying, could these beings be what people have seen being called angels?
Well, there's a history of winged humanoids, winged beings. It could very well be what people call angels, not necessarily what they believe in religious terms as angels. I've been very, my wife used to talk a lot about angels. And she got me looking into phenomena more and more, and it's not like what people think, these winged beings that kind of come into your space, and they're just beings. They're not human. They're many people believe they're extraterrestrials. They very well could be. But for the most part, they're just another level of being. Some people have described as angels. I mean, that goes far back as Mesopotamia with the Anunnaki, or supposed Anunnaki, and other winged creatures that supposedly showed up, or humanoids. Even the Egyptians had beings that you could describe as winged beings. I don't know. I do believe that these unseen ones that we're dealing with, from what the information we're getting is, they were at one time deities to humans.
Right.
So are they the same ones? Possibly.
Yeah, very possible.
Yeah. Right. Shall we take a quick 2-minute break? Is that all right with you, Lon?
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Get a drink and whatever else, and we shall be back in 2 minutes.
So, bear with me. I just need to find the
video.
It's there somewhere. There we go.
out there.
And we're back.
Okay.
Deb, you want to go?
I've run out of questions now because Lon's answered my other question that I have. So,
right. I've got one. I've got one. Right. So obviously, the Men in Black.
Right.
Oh, you know of him. Do you think that they are anyway related with other cryptids, i.e., dogmen, winged humanoids?
I believe that they are associated with a non-human species. They're humanoid, of course, but I don't think they're involved with the government. I don't think they're anything to do with any entity here on Earth or any organization here on Earth. I think they're kind of like a sentinel group with certain factions, certain extraterrestrial factions that when something happens, they always seem to show up very quickly. Through reports I've received in the past. For instance, somebody will say that they've seen something, a UFO, or seen a being or something. They didn't even have time to report it to anybody, and these things show up 10, 20 minutes later, and warn them with that uncertain terms not to say anything. They're very aggressive.
Yeah,
they're very aggressive, and the fact that they wear this black garb for the most part, they're kind of olive skin. They look Asian somewhat, but who knows what they are. I believe they're maybe an extraterrestrial or alien faction of some type,
right?
Which goes to prove that these type of beings are living among us.
Yeah, definitely. We've got to be. For all this to be going on, it wouldn't make sense for them not to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, have you had any personal dealings with M.I.B?
What's that?
Sorry, have you had any personal dealings with the M.I.B?
No, I haven't.
No.
Never. Which probably seems unusual, but no, I haven't. Or at least I don't know I have.
Yeah.
Right.
They've not told you, or they've erased it.
Right.
Yeah. The flashy thing.
Yeah. Sorry, 1 second. Someone else put a question up before, but I couldn't. Tried looking for it in the break and I couldn't find it.
No, I think I've put all the questions up that everybody's been asking.
Well, I'm going to ask one of the questions that I always ask. Do you believe there's a connection in everything, like paranormal, supernatural?
Oh yeah, yeah. I believe there's a direct tie with most of the anomalies and activity that people notice. We talked for years here in Pennsylvania about UFO, Bigfoot activity, and also paranormal activity happening around the same time.
Yeah.
That's been documented. This stuff has been going on, since we've been involved with the paranormal. But in more recent times, I'd say since the early 70s, there just seemed to be a direct tie, especially here. And, in the area where I live here in South Central Pennsylvania, we have a lot of phenomena that happens here. We've had, well, of course, the winged beings, Bigfoot, a lot of paranormal activity, a lot of UFO activity. There seems to be a lot going on here. Why that is, I don't know, but I believe there's a lot of ties between phenomena.
Yeah. Did you think the veil is thinning as well?
It's thinned.
Yeah.
It's open. The curtains have parted.
Right.
There does seem to be more things. There do seem to be more things coming forward. And I believe the internet has a lot to do with that. I think people are more open-minded now because of what they see in the media, TV, and such. I think it's just people are less afraid to come forward.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. I think the more people that speak out and talk about their experiences encourages others to do the same as well. Because if other people are telling people what they've seen, It's like, oh, well, I saw something. And I think the more of us that do that, the more open everything's going to become. And you never know.
The easier it feels to tell people about your encounters.
Right.
The more relaxed you are. Sorry.
Right.
What I meant to say.
Well, I think that's a big reason why we get a lot of reports, because we're very, we assure these folks of their confidentiality.
Yeah.
We only put out what they allow us to put out there. Occasionally you'll get a witness that says, yeah, go ahead, put my name out there, or location or whatever, but it's very rare, and I don't like to do it in some instances anyway. So, that's been an overriding policy within our group, with myself in particular, for years now. And there have been instances with people who have worked with me within the group who insist on putting confidential information about witnesses out there, and they don't last long with us.
No.
I don't tolerate that type of thing. Sure, people want disclosure, but there are limits.
Yeah, there are. Yeah,
there's got to be, definitely.
I think any decent research group has got to have limits like that, because you start showing.
I mean, if you want to continue to get reports, you're going to have to show them discretion.
Yeah,
definitely.
Mm-hmm.
The question was from Ralph. Lon, what's your view on Operation High Jump?
I have no view on that.
I don't think I've heard of it.
I've heard of it. I have no idea what it is.
No.
So I have no opinion on it.
No. Fair answer.
Yeah. Fair enough.
I wouldn't have had an answer for that either. Question from Loki. Do you believe something triggers someone's psychic abilities, as in alien abduction?
I think every person has some type of psychic ability. I think anyone can learn how to use what abilities they have.
Yeah.
But as far as any other information there, I don't know. I mean, can an incident trigger it? Sure. An alien abduction, like it's stated, that could possibly happen. But to be honest with you, most abduction scenarios are kind of hidden in the subconscious and really don't come out till several years later. Now, of course, if a person goes through regression or hypnosis, it may come out in more detail. I think a lot of people that do experience it believe something may have happened, but they have no real detail of it. And of course, some people who are mostly those that are gifted, who have had encounters, are very, very conscious of what actually happened. So I guess it runs the gamut, I suppose.
Yeah. Have you ever seen a UFO?
I have never seen a UFO or something I consider a UFO.
No.
I've seen orbs. I've seen a lot of different things like that. But as far as, if you want to call it an alien craft, no, I've seen a lot of lights, but nothing that I would consider otherworldly.
Yeah. Just wondered. Lon, do you sense a major shift in vibration and that something big is about to happen? That's
not
Nelly
necessarily. I hear a lot. I hear that all the time. People believe something big is going to happen. Maybe it will. I mean, these beings that we're dealing with, these unseen ones, maybe they know something we don't. I suppose at some point, maybe we'll get some information to kind of help us, determine what's going to happen, or kind of maybe a warning. I don't know, but I don't. From what all indications I get at this point, I think if we do receive some type of insight of what's going to happen, I think it's going to be a less dramatic type of information.
Yeah.
Maybe even something that will help us in the long run.
Yeah.
Right. Warren's just explained Operation High Jump, officially titled the United States Navy Antarctic Developments Program, 1946 to 1947, was a United States Navy operation organised by RADM Richard E. Byrd Jr.
Yeah. Well, Byrd had all kinds of theories about, you know,
inner Earth and
inner Earth and all that. So, I don't really comment on that.
Fair enough.
I just thought I saw another question there. It's disappeared. No, it's gone. It was the one that we'd already asked.
The one I just put on.
Yeah, I can't think of any more questions.
No.
Is there anything you'd like to tell us that you're doing that's coming up that you're on with, or?
Well, most of what we're involved with now is what people know about us. I mean, unless another case comes up, and that can always happen.
Yeah.
There have been times where I've been involved with this and was involved with that, then something shows up, and then I go gung ho into that, and then all that other stuff goes to waste. I try to juggle many cases at one time, to maybe my detriment on occasion, but no, I think like I said, if anything comes up, we'll let everybody know about it. But anything in particular other than what we know about now,
Are you thinking of doing another book at any point?
Yeah, I'm working on a book right now involving the pale humanoid phenomena that's been going on worldwide, particularly here in North America. But we're starting to get more and more reports from Europe, and I'm working on that. I kind of base it on possibly being kind of a meme generated phenomena, like a Slender Man and some of those other internet computer memes that have come forth over years, and people take it literally and it turns into some type of thought form manifestation. I'm not saying people aren't seeing them, but I am saying for the most part that maybe some of these are human generated, mind generated beings. And I'm going to put the information out there with the history of when a lot of this started, and I'll let the readers decide for themselves what with the information I can provide.
I mean, that is how they said that Slenderman originated, wasn't it?
Yeah, that was some guy who wrote about this being, and it kind of went from there. I mean, the internet's kind of inspired a lot of boogeymen, and that's one of them. And I can't. There's so many reports I've seen over years of what people swear to be beings that look like these Slendermen. And and there's a bunch of other stuff too. I mean, this goes as far back with like the Dover Demon and the Fresno Nightcrawlers and such. And these very well could be actual beings, but there's a lot of information that maybe they are something that's generated by the human mind even before the internet. So who knows?
The Nightcrawlers video does freak me out, I have to say. I don't know.
Yeah, the walking pants thing has kind of freaked me out too.
I can watch that on loop all night. It's just so fascinating.
Well,
it is.
There's just something about it.
Yeah. I was kind of lucky enough to talk to some of the original witnesses of those things.
Yeah.
And I honestly don't know what to make of it. The
more I look at them, the more real they look.
What's that?
The more that I look at them, the more real they look. It's like you can't.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm kind of torn with those, but it's just like anything else. I don't like to make a whole lot of determination of what I believe these things or a lot of other phenomena is. So I would try to gather as much information as I can, put it out there, and let the public decide what they think it is.
Yeah. I think that's all you can do with things like that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Just
And we're
because
still
you
no
don't know for
wiser.
definite. Yeah. Warren's asking, do you stay in touch with Stan Gordon? Is he well?
Yeah, he's doing fine. I talked to Stan not long ago. Stan lives about 3 hours west of me in Western Pennsylvania, in Greensburg, and I talk to Stan a lot. We exchange cases, especially here in Pennsylvania, but occasionally he'll get a case outside the state and he'll throw it to me and let our team look into it. So, but no, Stan and I have known each other for a long time.
Yeah. Warren's asking, any chance of seeing Lon in the UK anytime soon? Winter Hill, Cannock Chase, Bempton, all the active areas.
I get a lot of people keep asking me, why aren't you over in the UK looking at stuff? Maybe one day.
Yeah.
I
think you've got a lot to keep you occupied where you are at the moment.
Yeah, I really do. There's a lot of people that do a lot of investigating in the UK, so I kind of leave it up to them. If they want to put things out, they can. But I would like to go. I've never been to the UK, so I've always wanted to go there. I'm a British history nerd, so
right.
Yeah, so I'd be fascinated, but I don't know how much crypto I'd be doing. I'd probably be looking at historical locations before anything else.
We'll get him to meet up with Tim Brennan. He'll be fine.
Yeah, you get on well with Tim.
Perfect. You have the best day ever, promise you.
Yeah. He's into his histories, Tim.
Yeah.
Right, we take that off. Titanic, Southampton. What are you on about, Joe? Mind you, Titanic's history, part of history, isn't it? So
yeah, but then there's the other story about that.
What's that?
There's what?
About the Titanic. It wasn't really the Titanic.
Well, of course, it originated. What was that, Plymouth? Where it I don't know where exactly was the cruise lines originated at there. But the Titanic. I mean, and there's been a lot of strange stuff that associated with the Titanic in recent years, especially people who have been going to the location where the sinking was and experiencing a lot of paranormal activity above the surface as well.
Right.
That's fascinating. You would think. Now I don't know how far down this thing settled. I mean, I know it was pretty deep.
2 miles,
maybe. Yeah, I know it's deep, and the fact that they experienced paranormal activity through all that depth up into the surface, I think is fascinating. So
and obviously there's the theory that it was swapped with the Olympic.
Yeah.
So it wasn't actually the Titanic that sank; it was the Olympic that sank.
It was apparently it's to do with the tax or the insurance on it or something.
Yeah.
Because it wasn't seaworthy, so they had to swap it.
That's right.
And then something to do with the taxes on it as well. Can't remember without looking it up. So technically, if that is true, the Titanic never sank.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yes. I'm stuck now because we've run out of questions.
Yeah.
Anybody else got any questions? See, come on, all prepared and everything, and
I know
we've answered them as we've gone along.
The rubbish tonight. Sorry, Lon.
That's okay. I have my own show, and I get stumped many times as well. So you kind of hope somebody will be asking questions in the chat. I get it.
Right, I'll ask. Can I throw one question out there then? What are your views on vampires? I know we're jumping from one.
Oh my god! It's a nice story. It's a nice storyline. Of course, it's got the folklore is interesting, though. I think Bram Stoker kind of perpetuated a lot of what the modern version of the vampires, though. there is a phenomena called psychic vampirism, which I believe is very real. I believe that is an actual phenomena. I have talked to psychic vampires in the past, people who purported to be psychic vampires, and there's something there. I think. I mean, it's I think they have a gift to where they can extract energy. From people. Is it life force? I don't know. But I think that is a real phenomenon. Is it some type of hypnosis that they can put somebody under some type of let's say spell or something like that? I don't know. Yeah. But no, I think it's a real phenomenon.
Yeah. No, the only reason I asked that, I was just going to say, because I'm in the middle of watching Vampire Diaries.
Oh, okay.
And it's a little bit different to everything else that you hear. And I know it's a TV program, but
sure,
it just gives you a different light on things. So,
yeah, I like a good vampire story, but I'm just not necessarily. I don't believe, for the most part, that it's that's something that's really tangible. I mean, sure, it could be. You know, just like lycanthropy, people who feel they're animals, they have that thirst for blood or thirst for flesh or whatever. And there have been documented cases of that. We've had them here in the United States. Is it psychological? Sure, it very well could be. Is vampirism psychological? Absolutely. I think it very well could be.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah.
Pat wants to know, do you think we'll ever get taken over?
What, by extraterrestrials?
By another species, possibly. Extraterrestrials.
You know, I've got a few theories about that, but let me put this out there. First of all, I believe the human species is a universal species. In other words, I believe that forms of humans have evolved and are living or habitate other realms, other dimensions, even other planets.
Yeah.
I think for the most part that those beings that we see, that we associate as extraterrestrial or alien, are evolved humans that have the ability to travel through time to come back and possibly change things that affected their current status. And I think that does happen. I think our butts have been saved by maybe some of this in the past. I mean, you know, in the recent future. I mean, the recent past, nuclear mistakes, environmental catastrophes. I think for the most part, a lot of that has been changed as to what may have happened previous. I do believe that. I mean, I think the people, when they say they see an alien being or have been abducted or have been experimented on, I think many of these beings are evolved humans who are trying to find answers as to why they lost what they did.
Yeah.
You know, when I started working with David Eckhart, I learned a lot of things about the human alien relationship, and it seems that in a lot of ways, they're very similar to us. They believe in deities. They believe in a higher being, higher source. But they seem to have lost one thing that kind of just differentiates them from us, is that when they pass, they're dead. There is no life force, no soul. They don't rise or go into another level. There's no reincarnation. You know, it just ends. There's a physical body, it dies, that's it. Humans don't seem to be like that. You know, when humans talk about having experiences with with ghosts or earthbounds or life force that has remained on this plane and hasn't ascended into another level. That's something that's very, very foreign to them because they just do not have that. And I think that's for the most part when they abduct humans, perform experiments, get involved with hybrid programs. I think that's what they're seeking.
Yeah. Yeah, I'd agree with that.
You know, that's just some of the stuff I've disseminated over the years with working with David and other experiencers. You know, I wrote about it in my book. A lot of that, you know, they do have an agenda, but their agenda is to really find out what they are.
Yeah.
I think they've lost so much that they're trying to get some of it back.
Tino's asking, do you think the cryptid activity worldwide is increasing?
I think it's being people are coming forward with it more than they did before. I mean, of course, it could be increasing. I mean, but there's, you know, it seems like there's a new cryptid popping up here and there, you know, all the time.
Yeah.
But I think the reason for that is that people are more open about coming forward.
Yeah.
You know, when you see all these, well, you know, for years we've had all these haunting shows and paranormal shows on television. But in recent years, starting with like Monster Quest and those type of shows, cryptids have been put out there, and people will look at those shows and say, you know, I saw something just like that. Maybe I should report it. Then we start getting the reports.
Yeah.
We got a lot of old reports. We got a lot of reports from past experiences that people just didn't come forward, and now they feel more comfortable doing it. You know, I talk to people in their 70s, 80s, and 90s who have had these encounters when they were younger, and you know, it's very similar to what people are saying now. And it's just been suppressed.
Well, yeah,
People don't like to be ridiculed.
No, they
and that's why they don't come forward.
Yeah. Which is a shame, really, because, you know, there's probably a lot of stories for every 10 people that tell you an encounter, there's probably another 20 that don't open their mouths, and it's just, it shouldn't be like that. People should be able to come forward without fear of ridicule.
Mm-hmm.
Warren wants to know what your thoughts are on the Wendigo, and do you receive any reports on it?
Yeah, I do. The Wendigo is its origin in First Nations tribes in Canada and in northeast part of the United States and in upper Midwest. You got the Ojibwe, then you got Algonquins, and then into the Iroquois up into the First Nations of Canada. Actually, Chad Lewis wrote an excellent book about the Wendigo. I suggest people read that book. It's more of a phenomena of the mind, I believe, where these people become possessed by some type of entity, some spirit where they get this urge for human blood, flesh. And it just goes rampant, goes crazy. We've had modern instances where people have been possibly possessed by something where it has caused them to literally kill and feed upon humans. It's a cannibal-like phenomena. It's not necessarily what people believe to be a pale, sharp-toothed being that walks the earth and looks for blood and you know, it's not that. I mean, that's kind of the illustration of what these things are. It's not that. They're normally just regular people who just have transformed into, you want to call them a monster, you can call them a monster, but there's nothing really cryptid about it. It's more of a possession, more of a paranormal phenomenon.
Yeah. How many books have you written? It's just the one at the moment, isn't it?
I've written 8.
Have you done 8?
I've written 8 books. Yeah, I've got 3 of them out now that are available to buy. The other books, the Encounters series, which I wrote several years ago, that's not available now. That is going to be combined into a volume eventually.
Brilliant. Right. Well, we'll put the links to those on the on our page.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yeah, that'll be fine. Let me have a look. What do you think of the 411 phenomenon?
Missing 411.
David Paulides, yeah.
Yeah, it's an interesting theory. I believe, David's theory is that in state and national parks, for whatever reason, these disappearances occur.
Yeah.
He's never really been very forward about what his belief is, which, in a way I can understand. I have pushed David on that in recent years or in past years about that. We've gotten some few arguments about it, but I like David.
Yeah.
It seemed like he was suggesting that Bigfoot, Sasquatch may have been responsible for many of these disappearances. It's interesting because a lot of these missing people just literally vanish quickly.
Yeah.
It's almost like they've been sucked up into a portal or fell into a hole somewhere.
Yeah.
I think there could be several reasons behind this. Could it be alien, possibly abduction? Could it be a natural animal like a cougar or something? Maybe, but there would probably be blood involved and screaming, and you would think that would you would see that.
Yeah, you would.
Yeah, I don't think it's anything natural. Could it be a Bigfoot? Yeah, I guess it could be. There has been documentation of Bigfoot abductions. Who knows? But it is an interesting phenomena, and I'll just keep it at that. I mean, it does happen. It is documented, and I guess it's anybody's theory as to what goes on.
Yeah. Teresa wants to know, do flying humanoids exist, and are they from another reality?
I wouldn't necessarily say they're from another reality. I believe they do exist. I mean, I believe they're in what, like I said before, with the unseen ones and the winged ones, they come from another dimension. And that dimension is very near our linear dimension, Earth plane. So, but no, we got a lot to learn from these things.
Paul wants to know, is there any way CERN is involved with the space program?
Oh my.
Another rabbit hole.
Yeah. There've been a lot of theories about CERN. I believe that there is a strong possibility that particle accelerators could open up a rift of some type. Has that happened? Who knows? Is that why we're seeing a lot of bizarre incantations of beings, phenomena? Who knows? That's possible. Chicago has had Chicago area at oh god, what is it? The lab, Fermi Labs outside Chicago, has the oldest particle accelerator in the world. Actually, it's over 40 years old.
Yeah,
really?
It shot down in the early 2000 teens because of a supposed accident.
Right.
Is that what's responsible for helping to open up a rift in the Chicago area? I don't know. It could be. That's something I guess we need to talk to the unseen ones about. But from all indications we've got at this point, I don't think that's the case. Now, of course, the CERN particle accelerator, does that have the ability at some point to cause unknown phenomena, explain phenomena? Sure. I mean, you're kind of bending the laws of physics with that thing, and who knows? I think a lot of things could happen.
Yeah, definitely. Nellie wants to know, do you think Hollywood has a lot to answer for regarding witness reluctance in coming forward in the past due to how witnesses were portrayed, i.e. the town drunk or crazy person?
Maybe. Maybe. But I believe Hollywood and the government UFO community have kind of worked hand in hand over the years with a lot of this stuff as well. There's no real proof of it.
Yeah.
No.
But it's interesting how some of this, some of the stories have come very close to coming true. I mean, the one you look at, Close Encounters of the Third Kind in particular.
Yeah.
Alan J. Hynek was in that film. He helped develop that film with Spielberg. There were a lot of other people involved with the actual production of that film, the actual storyline that had connections to the government.
Yeah.
Right.
So, is there any reality to that? Sure, it very well could be. There's a lot of things that if you look at the film and start, checking off things that occurred in the film and how similar they are to some of the phenomena we experience in encounters and sightings over the years. Yeah. I mean, just for instance, the chase scene of the UFO chase scene, supposedly that in the movie was in Indiana. Well, something very similar that happened in Ohio, in Western Pennsylvania, where a UFO chase just very similar to what was described in the film happened, where state troopers from Ohio got stopped at the Pennsylvania line because he seemed crossed. They were chasing this thing for 40, 50 miles.
Yeah.
There's a lot of stuff in those films that really are tied into reality. So, yeah.
What are your theories about the staircases that are found in the middle of nowhere? Have you had any reports about those? I
have talked to a couple of these searchers who have been hired by the National Park Service. One in particular who swears he's had encounters with two of these things. The first thing you ask is, well, there's a foundation somewhere around there where the staircase could have actually been left from a built, and it's just not that case. I did read an account a while back where one of these individuals came upon one of these staircases. I don't think this thing was that big, but they walked to the top step, and when they did, as they were looking out, the whole area changed, just like they walked into another dimension.
Yeah.
And changed back when they walked down. So are they portals? Who knows? Maybe they are. It's kind of bizarre. Especially in the locations where these things will show up. I mean, 20 miles from the nearest civilization, and you got a staircase sitting out in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Some of them are brand new, and other ones are like really old looking and covered in moss and
been there forever. But then it's like the ones the older ones have been there for ages, and people have walked past for years and years, never seen it, and all of a sudden someone stumbles across one.
There it is. It's a very strange phenomenon, that.
I mean, I don't think there's any real anything archaeological behind it. It just seems like there's it just shows up, or is it something to do with an actual opening of a portal or something just showing up from that? Who knows? It is strange, very strange.
Quick question on that: if you found one, would you walk up it?
I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
My girlfriend
I'd be tempted.
She told me she would, so I don't know. I mean, she might do it.
Possibly
I
would.
wouldn't do it.
I'd like to, but whether I did or not,
I don't think I would.
Another answer.
I'd be very apprehensive about doing it.
Sorry,
someone. Oh, you've put it on. Sorry. Joe's asked, do you have an opinion on Dogman?
Yeah, I've got a few opinions on it. You know, this is a phenomenon we've looked at in particular here in Pennsylvania for several years. We've had some pretty interesting reports, especially with the upright canines or lichens, what we call them. You know, there are two types of beings that show up in this area. One I call the upright canine, the other I call the dog man. Now, a dog man, in my mind and in Butch's mind, and what we've talked to witnesses about, is a quadruped for the most part. It's huge, got a wolf-like head, but the body looks like that of a hyena. Even has spots in some cases. It has a sloping back. But they seem to be very intelligent. They're very muscular definition to them. We had an encounter. We had an encounter up near Rothrock. No, this one was near. Oh God, it was up. What county was that? I guess it was Center County. We have a lot happening up in Center County in Pennsylvania. Anyway, there's near the Tuscarora State Forest. It was just north of that. Guy was up there deer hunting.
Yeah.
And he had a deer stand. He was up on that just at the edge of a woods looking out into a large field. And it was just north of the state forest. And he was watching deer. He saw deer run across the field on the ridge in front of him.
Yeah.
And he saw two large canine beings following this, chasing these things.
Right.
So as he sat there, one of these canines literally walked up to him right in front of him in the field in front of him and just sat down staring at him. And that's what he described it as. He said it looked like a huge hyena with a wolf-like head, very muscular.
Yeah.
But it stared at me. And it stared at me for about 15 minutes and eventually just walked away. Now, this guy had a 30-06 with him. And I told him, I said, well, why didn't you shoot this thing? He said, something told me not to shoot it.
Yeah.
This whole infrasound thing that you hear with Bigfoot and other cryptids kind of comes into play here.
Yeah.
It's almost like these beings psychically connect with the witnesses, and it kind of, they kind of get the impression, just lower my weapon, back off if they're on the ground, and go your way and I'll go mine. But they do stand their ground. So this guy was up in the tree stand. He was there till after dark. He got stuck there. He was afraid to come down, and eventually he did come down and ran to his car and got in and left. That was an interesting encounter. But we've had other encounters, especially with hunters. A lot of times a hunter will encounter these things where they and another one happened in Rothrock State Park, or near Rothrock State Park, in a game state land, where this guy was upland bird hunting. He had a shotgun. He was walking in through the laurel, and this upright canine was right in front of him. And he said, I swear this thing was 9 to 10 foot tall. He said, if you remember the lichens in the Underworld movie series, said looked just like that thing. Said this thing was huge, large upper body, thin waist, had legs that were hocked like a dog, but they were muscular and huge. Had large paws that looked kind of like feet, but they were paws, and had claws. And it was standing there with its arms folded in front of him and just looking at him with these really bright yellow eyes. And he said, all I had was bird shot in the gun, so I wasn't going to take a shot at this thing. He said, I lowered my weapon and backed away. And and we have heard similar accounts like that in the past. So it's a real phenomena. I think Butch and I have collected almost 27 encounters in Pennsylvania, or right on near the border of surrounding states in the past 7 or 8 years. So it's a real phenomenon.
Yeah, definitely.
And it's all over.
Yeah, well, a few weeks ago I was in Norfolk in the east of England, and I had what looked like Anubis stood up against a tree. As I seen it, I got the message in my head, shit, he seen me, and then it just vanished. And then I could see the tree where it was sort of.
Yeah.
The impression that I got from it, or the thought in my head, was that it was guarding something or protecting something. And that was bright yellow, like a greeny yellowy fluorescent eye colour.
Well, that's very similar to what you're getting here in the States. I mean, I've read a lot of accounts in Great Britain. I mean, UK, and that area where you're talking about, from the Midlands on up and along the coast, it seemed to be an area where there's a lot of these upright canine sightings.
Well, this one, the one I seen, there was 2 pig farms. One that run up as I'm driving up towards where I'd seen it. That was on my left, and as I passed it, still on my left, there's another big pig farm about a quarter of a mile long on my right hand side, and it was kind of in the middle of the two. But then, as I seen it, like I said, it just vanished. Didn't fade out. Didn't dissolve or anything like that. 1 second it was there, the next it had gone.
Yeah. I've heard a lot of strange encounters over there, and absolutely.
Yeah,
but
it's just when you said the eye color
and others, I've heard a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it's when you mentioned the eye color. That's what, and then Joe would put it on. It's like it's got to be the same eye color or very similar.
Now, what are your thoughts on? Do you believe these are natural beings, or you think they're supernatural?
Interdimensional, I think.
I think that there's a lot of evidence suggests that may very be what's going on. I don't think, for the most part, that they're indigenous. Just because I think more people would have encounters with these. We never had a fatal encounter. And these things are very capable of causing some damage. So, it seems like they're here, then gone. And, we've actually had people that have had these things literally, manifest in front of them. So
I do think there are different types. There are the ones like interdimensional, whether they travel through portals or whatever it is you use. But then I also believe that there is hybrids, whether it's government that have done it or secret labs, whatever, or these secret agencies that have created them.
Yeah.
And then they've just released them into the wild to see what happens.
Well, there are a lot of hybrids out there of different things. Here in the eastern part of the United States, up into Ontario, and there was an article written by Nick Redfern just today about these koi wolves and how they become more prevalent here in this part of the country. They're basically a hybrid of a timber wolf and a coyote. Because we have coyotes coming east now in the United States, and for the past 20 years, they're getting to be a bigger problem. But these koi wolves had basically started breeding in Ontario, up in Canada, as these coyotes started coming east. Now they're making themselves known into the United States. And in state of New York and Pennsylvania, we've got literally packs of these things. And they're interesting because they look a lot like a wolf version of a coyote, but they got very long legs. And and they're not friendly animals either. So so that's something else. You talk about hybrids. These, what you're experiencing over there could very well be some type of government hybrid of some type.
They're the scavengers, aren't they, anyway? So if they've got that as their natural instinct still, but more powerful, it's something you don't want to be messing with.
Sure. No, I wouldn't mess with them.
No. Straight opposite.
I don't like
way.
coyotes anyway. I mean, I try to, if I see one, I'm staying away from it. I don't trust them.
No. Luckily, we don't have them over here. I don't think.
not yet anyway.
Oh, yeah, we've not seen any. They probably
I mean,
are.
you guys get enough stuff coming in there with the big cats and everything else people are using for pets.
Yeah.
And then let them loose. I mean, some of the stories I've heard from Wales with the big black cats, and you know, after 76 when they started outlawing it, and you had to start buying the license and everything, people just said, "Well, we let them loose," and
it was easier.
Yeah.
I know personally 3 people that have had
We're coming into
an
the last
encounter
5
with
minutes now.
Black
We've got
Panther.
a question from Badger Actual. Lon, is there a cover-up going on? And if so, why and by whom?
Well, you say cover-up. There's a lot of cover-up. I don't think... I think there are a few aspects of the unknown where the government may be covering up. Of course, I believe UFOs and otherworldly beings. There's a degree of cover up.
Yeah.
But when it comes to cryptids, I think the government is involved with Bigfoot. I think it has been. I think my encounter in 81 involved a government cover up because of the government type showing up after I had my encounter. Yeah. They were keeping this thing this thing was an escapee, I believe. And it looked more human than it did primate or ape. So is there a government cover up for those type of cryptids? Sure. I think there very well may be.
Yeah, I think they're covering a lot of stuff up. Sorry. Yeah, I think they're covering a lot of stuff up.
You look at certain areas of the country where there seems to be a lot of activity. For instance, in the Four Corners area or northern New Mexico, there's a lot of government facilities in that area, and it just seems to be a lot of cryptids that show up that just are not near to what the actual indigenous natural population is. It's you hear all kinds of crazy. You hear about 15-foot Bigfoot out there, it's crazy stuff. But we've had winged being sightings, winged humanoid sightings in that area as well. People have no idea what they're dealing with. And I think if the government is involved with some of these some type of experimentation, or the cooperation with an extraterrestrial faction, people have been talking about Dulce base and that for years. I don't necessarily believe all that, but there may be locations where they're involved with that. There just seems to be a lot of weird stuff that shows up sometimes that raises questions. And you do have to consider at some point. I'm not necessarily into the conspiracy theories when it comes to these things, but I have heard and seen things over the years that really make you think twice about it, though.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah,
totally agree with you on that one.
Well, I think we're just about to wind up.
Yes.
It's been lovely talking to you, Lon. Really enjoyed tonight.
Yeah, excellent.
Thanks for having me on.
Thank you so much for joining us. Really do appreciate it.
It's been good.
Yeah, you're our first transatlantic interviewee.
Yeah, it went pretty good then, didn't it?
So, yeah. Other than my sound
That's
dropping
not always the case,
through.
but it did work well this time, yeah.
Yeah, my sound went, I couldn't do anything with my microphone. Just, can't believe this.
Well, years ago we used to try this using Skype, and it always didn't work out too well.
Yeah.
But with some of these new platforms, and I use StreamYard as well, and it does work well for transatlantic interviews. So absolutely.
I think it's worked better doing this one than it has some of the ones that are around the corner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Literally.
Yeah.
So
I agree.
Yeah. So a massive thank you for coming on.
Thank you.
Thank you to all the viewers for your questions and everything else.
Yeah, thank you for joining us.
Yeah. And we'll see you same time next week.
Yes.
So take care, everyone, and see you then.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Bye.
you.